John, before we start, I want to make an announcement. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/AlexBollen, ALEXXBOLLEN. We've been doing it for many years, and there is a shitload of episodes built up. So if you sign up, I think the minimum is like, I don't know, $3 or $5 or something. You get like dozens of episodes you haven't heard. So you should sign up, at least for a month, and then download them all and stop. I'm not going to stop you, but I just want to draw attention to that because I'm not good at reminding people. So there you are.
Thank you.
Make a mistake, we got to prepare for some heartbreak. I was earning my man while I was learning my man. Something you young girls might not understand. No pain, no pain, no pain, no pain, no gain, no gain, no. No pain, no pain, no pain, no pain, no gain, no gain.
Hi, John.
Hello, Alec.
Do you know what I hate?
What do you hate?
Pain au chocolat.
Pain au chocolat. That is controversial. Why do you hate
Well, I'm gluten-free.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
You know what I love?
What do you love?
Pain and gain.
Hmm.
You see what I did there? Because pain.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay,
yeah.
did you?
Yeah, no, I took that. Do you remember when The Rock was a guy? Like, and not a brand?
Oh, yeah.
He could be in movies like this, or I mean, Southland Tales or whatever. Like, I mean, even in this, he looks, he's a roided up thumb, but just like, I don't know. I just think about the stories from Fast and the Furious where it's like, he can't lose any fights, and Vin Diesel's like, well, I can't lose any fights. It's like,
yeah.
Who cares, man? But
well, they do.
Yeah.
Boy, this movie is a whole ass thing. Let me ask you a question, John.
Yeah.
You chose this movie.
I did.
And I would like to know your reasoning, sir.
Because it's a whole ass thing. Because I watched it. There is I might have mentioned this critic before on the show.
John Lovitz.
John Lovitz. He said it stinks, and I want to see if that was true. No, this guy Brandon Strusig, if I'm saying his name right, and he's a huge like Michael Bay fan. And this had come up, and he was talking about it, and I was like, you know what? I've never watched this. I know this is Michael Bay's like quote unquote art house film. This is one that he made in between the two he wanted to make in between a couple of Transformers movies, and for him was a smaller budget, only I think like 30 million or something like that. And people had said in the past like, this is like the best Michael Bay movie you're gonna get. Like if you don't like the Transformers stuff, like whatever, like you should check out Pain and Gain. And I watched it, and I really, really like struggled with it for days after. Like I kept thinking about it, which is a sign of at least an interesting movie. And then I saw I was watching a different YouTube video by I think it's Shattered Empire.
E-Bound's World?
Yeah, something Nick
H.
Fuentes. No, it's Empire Wreckers. And they had this whole video about it's called Learning to Love Michael Bay's Transformer Movies, and he posits that basically Optimus Prime is the bad guy. And it's a fascinating I don't even like those movies. I've only seen like I think 1 and 3. But it was an interesting enough thing to keep me interested for 40 minutes. And then he has another one about how this one is kind of like Michael Bay's Captain America, drawing some kind of spurious tone, like Anthony Mackie is in it, and there's a secret soldier serum, but Anthony Mackie's taking it. So, but it's still kind of fun. And so then I was just thinking about like, yeah, we have never done a Michael Bay movie. Let's talk about this.
I was baffled by this.
Yeah.
I get the choice if your choice was it's a whole thing, because I don't know what I watched. I don't know what this was. I will say I have one definitive take about the overall aesthetic of the film. Mm-hmm. Those handheld shots look like garbage and add nothing to the film.
See, I would disagree. Like I am continually taken aback by the way his stuff looks. It's all very polished and professional to the point of being like pornographic. Like years ago, I'm assuming he still does stuff, but when music videos were more of a thing, there was a director, David LaChapelle, who did a lot of those. And this place I used to work, we had like photo books around, and they'd have like some David LaChapelle ads in there, and it was just disgusting, glossy, pornographic stuff. And I mean that not like of penetration or something, but there's no merit to it in my mind. It's just glossy. Like here's sex, buy this grill. kind of shit. And like stylistically, I think he's very impressive. Nobody does it like him, but this movie should have been made by someone else, but at the same time it can't be made by someone else. Because it is like if you take the script, because it's a ostensibly true story, based on a true story, I should say, rather.
By the way, shocking. I knew nothing going into this. And when at the end they do the reveal of the real guys, I was like, there's no fucking way this is based on a real story. It's based on a real story. Yeah.
And in fact, like some of the people of the relatives of the victims are like, yeah, this fucking sucks. Because they murdered my family member. And now I'm supposed to be laughing about it. This sucks. And there's
I mean, your family members for the most part were pieces of shit. So it's kind of hard.
Well, that's everyone in this movie is a piece of shit. But I do think like they left some people out, and they, much like we talked about in Iron Claw, how you for drama's sake you condense some stuff. Like for example, The Rock is actually an amalgam of different people that, even though like that Paul Doyle was a real guy, some of his traits were they jammed some other people in there as well.
When I look at The Rock and you're like, hey, guess this guy's name, I think the first thing that pops in my head is Paul Doyle.
Paul Doyle, yeah.
Yeah.
But these
6'5", half Samoan, half black, giant man, Paul Boyle.
Yeah.
Doyle, whatever.
It sort of seems like when I saw Starship Troopers, when it first came out in theaters, I was an idiot. I mean, I still am, but I was a different kind of idiot. And I was just like, I didn't get that it was satirizing this stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like straight up like, this is the serious movie that I'm trying to make. And this kind of feels like it's made for people like 18-year-old me, where it's like there's satire in all this, but Michael Bay can't grasp it because it's making fun of like people that are like, I'm a doer, and that sort of the ideal of the American dream and these guys' perversion of it. And Michael Bay kind of recognizes that, but it's also all shit he likes. So he can't get away from it. Like I like the excess and the stupidity is all like, yeah, no, that stuff rules though. Let's have a Taco Bell ad placement here.
That Taco Bell ad placement up there with Demolition Man in awkwardness of Taco Bell things. I guess it's satire. It's not. It's not though.
It's not. Yeah, that's what's frustrating about it, because it feels like it's going to be. The first 30 minutes absolutely feels like, okay, you're kind of putting together that this is all that America is a scam. Like the American dream is a scam, that all this stuff, these people that buy into it and they're stupid, but like what they're asking, the people selling it to them are equally terrible. And then it just goes, yeah, these guys are dumb is the problem. Because it doesn't even go like, well, Ed Harris is, who's taking it easy now and he's retired. He's got it figured out. They kind of make like a passing nod to it, but not really even.
Yeah. I think my main problem with this, beyond the Michael Bay of it all, I don't really like definitive statements about actors because every now and again they show up and do good work. But I think on the whole, I don't like Mark Wahlberg as an actor. There's a very few exceptions where I enjoy his work, but like I found him irritating this movie beyond what the character was supposed to be as irritating. He's not good.
Well, this character is kind of how I view Marky Mark. Like not even going into it.
But I think that makes it worse that I don't buy him.
Right. Well, okay, fair enough. But yeah, because this is just, there's his famous workout routine, or infamous rather, that got posted online. Lugo is him. That just, and the fact that he can't put it together. It's like, I know there was some hubbub about Fight Club, people not understanding Fight Club. In fact, I think I've told the story on this podcast before about the guy I went to college with that was like, yeah, self-improvement is masturbation, meaning that he thought it was because it feels good. That can kind of miss some of the satirical stuff of it. And this, I think, there's no argument that it does. There's no argument that it doesn't. Like it feels like it might, but it just clearly just blows by it in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of the reasons it doesn't work as satire is the characters are inconsistent with how stupid they are. And it like makes things like in some scenes, they're so dumb, they're almost drunk. And then other scenes are like kind of functional people where it's just, Yeah, I don't know. The whole kind of, I don't know, magical realism of it doesn't work for me at all. And that's the linchpin of it, Mark Wahlberg, where he doesn't have, there's no comedy in him. He just, and yeah, I don't know. It's really,
I think there's no comedy in Michael Bay exactly. Like, it would be interesting to have in a better, more perfect world. There's the infamous DVD commentary of The Limey with Steven Soderbergh and the writer of it, who basically spent the whole time arguing because the Steven Soderbergh turned the movie into the thing the guy hated. Well, I would love to hear the writers of this movie, talk about what Michael Bay added to it, because there's certain things that seem very, very like Bay added. It seemed like you had the script, and Michael Bay was like, "What if we had Rebel Wilson talk about this guy's dick for an inordinate amount of time? Wouldn't that be funny?" Or just really mean-spirited stuff that kind of gets jammed in there that it doesn't feel like it's a piece with the rest of it.
Yeah. Tonally, I don't mind the Melissa McCarthy stuff. I just wish that's the tone that I'd want from the movie. Oh, God damn it. I did that in my notes too. I know it's Rebel Wilson, but like they're two actresses that I don't have experience with. I know that they're people, and I've probably seen them in a movie, but they're blank slates to me. I don't know them.
Honestly, I think Melissa McCarthy would have been so much funnier in that role. And I don't have any like strong feelings against Rebel Wilson. I just think Melissa McCarthy is weirder and could have done something else with that.
But that tone is good, and I think Anthony Mackie gets the tone of the movie the best out of all of them. Like, especially that scene where he's like cheering on The Rock doing push-ups, where in the other room a murder's happening. And that kind of frantic, like, almost Coen Brothers-esque, like, oh my God, something horrible's happening, but also these two dummies are there. And that was, it was like borderline working. And it just, Mark Wahlberg kind of messed up. And also I think The Rock is ill-equipped for this role.
See, I don't necessarily think that's true. I just, I guess I should say I disagree, but I just think, again, I'm more prone to blame Michael Bay for that. Of The Rock being I want it to be this. Michael Bay's like, no, that's not big and dumb enough.
I think The Rock could have pulled off something here with a different director, or Michael Bay just getting a different actor. I mean, I don't know what he does on set, so maybe just actors aren't allowed to be good. It's very possible, because Michael Bay, I've never seen any evidence of good acting in any of his films.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tonally it's weird, and like I think Rob Corddry, that part I like the tone of. Like that's almost like, oh, that's kind of the movie I want to watch.
Yeah.
The kind of hapless, kind of funny, kind of dumb, like will sell himself out because he wants to look at muscle guys and working out real hard like that. Okay, yeah, right. I'm there.
Yeah, but like some of the weird, I that just made me think of like the weird moment at the end, like when stuff is kind of crumbling around them, and Rob Corddry's on the phone, and there are like bikini girls in the window behind him being like, "Yoo-hoo, hello," and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here." So why are they there, Michael Bay? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, and just in this way that like. I don't. You want to put pretty girls in your movie? Fine, I don't care. But it's just in the context of everything else in the movie, and like the stuff it's trying to say. Michael Bay is just like kind of undermining that in these weird ways. Yeah,
like the Rob Corddry part, I think like in any other film should be gay. Like that's the joke. Not that being gay is a joke, but like that would be the. I'm so uber macho, but really, it's from the 80s. It's established. But they didn't do that because I think Michael Bay, I feel like I have no evidence for this, but I just have a suspicion that Michael Bay is probably a homophobe.
Well, there's comedian Vince Mancini used to run this blog called Film Drunk, where I like,
I remember Film Drunk.
Yeah, around like 2010, I was going there all the time. And I think he had a joke about like, pretty sure this was him, if my penis was a racist 13-year-old, it would be named Michael Bay.
Yeah,
and
fuck yeah.
That's so true. And I think that's something like this story is full of homophobia, racism, sexism, and stuff like that. And so it's Michael Bay like being able to be like, well, cool, I'm going to do some of this. I'm going to make this awful Tony Shalhoub character be shitty. I'm going to have this dumb whore of a stripper that gets toyed around with. I'm going to have her be a dumb bitch. And they like, it's so hateful towards this character. It's in a completely unnecessary way. Like she's just
the Soviet one. Yeah.
She's just suckered in. She doesn't really contribute anything to the story necessarily. Like, I think she was more involved in the actual story, in the through thing, but that, like, even at the end when it's sort of, you're talking about going through like the real people, and it's like, oh, we changed her name to protect the innocent, and it's like this picture of her all super sexy but with the eyes blocked out. It's like, well, she's still not a movie star though. What an idiot. And it's like,
this movie is hateful to her.
Yeah, it's extremely hateful.
I just had an idea though. So Michael Bay, presumed homophobe, copyright Alex Bullen, 2024. So you're saying that, like,
one of those black and white photos of just your face over black, like tinting your fingers, and it says Michael Bay, homophobe.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So he's got Bayos, but if he goes full, like he comes out of the closet, I just had some thoughts. Yeah, then we get full banal.
Banal, okay.
Yeah.
The banality of evil, or
yeah. And then
banality of evil.
Yeah. Oh, I had another one too. Shit, it doesn't matter. But the banal's the good joke. I'm sure I don't know whether too. That was really dumb, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, because there's a lot of gay stuff. Of, what's the line? I like that line in the movie. Looking at a lot of homo stuff right now.
Yeah, or just like
where The Rock is in the. Yeah.
Oh, it's just when he ends up becoming, when Mark Wahlberg ends up sort of, after they get their money after the first heist or whatever, and he gets in the community and he's like being a coach to these kids, and he's just telling them about like how much pussy he gets, and none of that gay shit or whatever. It's just, if that feels less like look at how awful this man is, and more Michael Bay being like, hell yeah, isn't this funny? How he's telling the kids the truth.
And I'm sure that's Michael Bay, but that's also Mark Wahlberg. Because here's what I kept thinking during this movie, and you can't be tonally what this movie is. I mean, the way that the tone comes across as directed, I just kept picturing John Cena in the Wahlberg role, and how much better Cena would do that scene in that kind of dry, I'm a soldier voice talking about the pussy. He's like, oh, you like that pussy? Like, imagine Cena doing that. I'm like, oh, that's a funny scene. Like, there's a lot of just like little like punch ups that I think Michael Bay is just incapable of.
Right, because the thing is that Michael Bay's absolutely going to go with Mark Wahlberg, because that's the level Michael Bay is operating on. It's the Mark Wahlberg level. And I think like another great, to me, like a purely Bay invention is that when they get this whole idea, the plot of the movie is that Mark Wahlberg is a trainer. He's a big dreamer. Wants the American dream. I do like the joke. I mean, because it's an actual clever joke when he like talks about all his heroes. They're all characters in movies, and they're all criminals, but they're like, Scarface, or whatever. These guys did it. There's nothing real about what his version of the American dream is told through movies lampooning the American dream.
Well, he
believes it.
It's a funny runner, because like all my heroes, Rocky Balboa, Scarface, everybody from The Godfather.
Yeah.
It's that dumb, because we were talking about that, I forget what other movie, but Godfather reference. But this movie is like time appropriate, where like that kind of meathead would be Godfather obsessed.
Oh yeah. What was that? Maybe it was Sicilian Vampire. I don't know. But,
no, it was recent. It's in the last like 5 movies we did.
Yeah, I've forgotten all of them.
Yeah. Good point, Alex. But I
remember it happening. I just don't remember.
Yeah. Oh no. That was the other thing. Is every time Michael Bay is directing a scene, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna hit him with that Bay sex," and that of course means gay sex.
Right. But
Bayos.
Bayos.
Yeah, that's literally what I stopped myself from saying. Well done.
Never mind. All right, but that and so they.
Baygasm. That was the other one. Baygasm.
Whoa. I don't know why that's unfortunate. But basically, like, he has this, so he ends up being a trainer for this like complete like piece of shit guy played by Tony Shalhoub.
Wait. Let me stop you. Is Tony Shalhoub a real piece of shit, or is he just kind of like a guy that just did some sleazy money stuff?
He's a piece of shit. I mean, like, he might be above board. I mean, we find out that he's got some stuff in the Bahamas or whatever, like offshore accounts. Not even getting that. Just he's a piece of shit. The way he acts and talks to people, the way he tells Mark Wahlberg that salad was invented by poor people, he's a piece of shit. but like everyone is in this movie, so it doesn't really,
it's just like, it doesn't seem like he's mean to his wife and he's got a relationship with his kid. Like, I guess it's just this movie, everybody's such a piece of shit that like, Monk was, he's referred to as Monk. I just did in all of my notes. So I just want to let everybody know when I say Monk, I mean, of course, the alien with the explodable head from Men in Black 1.
And the guy from Wings. I don't remember his character's name in Wings, but that's how I was
Paul
first introduced to
McCartney.
it. It was Paul McCartney in Wings.
Yes.
He was the best. He was the most talented member.
The other, and the patented Alex comment on this film, because I need to comment about their bodies. And this one is actually accurate. I just wanted to give the preamble. Anthony Mackie is in the exact wrong shape for this role. Because he's in for a human, he's in very good shape. But I mean, like for what this role is, he should either be 30 pounds thinner or 30 pounds bigger. But him, like, it would be funny if he's a bit of a wimp. And then there's some humor to all the times he's talking to the other people. Or if he's got the rocks build and has those dialogue, it's funny in the other direction. But him just being like, I'm pretty big, but not as big as the other guys, just makes all of his lines sound like, yeah, I mean, you probably could do a little bit more. Like Mark Wahlberg is like definitely swollen.
But I think that's sort of the idea, is that he's like, even though he's juicing and whatever, that's still the best he can come up with.
But that would be funny.
That feminizes him. Well, no, yeah. but it effectively for the Michael Bay artist, it effectively feminizes him. That like, you went through all that and you're not even as big as Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, I get it. I just like, I want this movie to be good, because I think this movie's got the bones of something decent in it.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely it does.
And that's one of the ones of just like, it's this, either he should be either significantly thinner, or, like an English soccer hooligan in shape, like knows how to headbutt style in shape, or like a rock build. But like being like just like a normal swole guy, like, well, that doesn't, like, all the jokes don't land. And again, Michael Bay's just not funny, I guess.
That's really, he's just a hateful shit. But anyway, so they end up kidnapping this Victor Kershaw guy and trying to force him to like sign over all his money and assets to them. And what the point I was actually trying to make is that what feels like a very Michael Bay invention is that they hold him in a warehouse full of sex toys.
Yeah.
And stuff. And there's like, oh, I thought your friend had athletic equipment. And it's this tossed away line, but that very much feels like a Michael Bay thing. It's like, then what if they hit him with dildos? And then what if they did this? Because then like there's parts of the movie where like it's just a warehouse and it doesn't matter. But if we can do funny kind of gay panic stuff, that's even better.
See, that's the part where it sucks, because in my rewrite of the film, Anthony Mackie's gay, and that's why his dick doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime
so that's you're saying this during Pride. That's really shitty. That's why people are gay. Terrible.
No, I'm saying he's gay and having to be a beard for.
You're saying he's gay because his dick doesn't work.
No, I'm saying his dick doesn't work because he's trying to have sex with a woman, and because he's in a masculine culture which disallows homosexuality, his erectile dysfunction happens.
So not having sex with women makes you gay.
Well, yeah. Actually,
I guess that's true.
I mean, since there's only two genders. Wait, no, I have a real point here, though. In my rewrite is every time he's watching The Rock workout or whatever, he should have a fucking sweatpants boner.
See, I more like the thing, and they kind of abandoned this pretty early on, where he's like in awe of The Rock, of like, at the beginning, when he's like, how much protein do you eat? How much
that
whatever.
More. Yeah.
But like, no, but I like that he's not gay. But like that, it's just the it's like that Roman ideal of strength, or the Greek, it's like I'm into men in that, like, how strong he is. And he's like, he struggles with it. He's not
I'd be fine with that if that stayed through the whole movie. I just like it doesn't. Right. We can't skip over the best part of this movie. The Rock just has a skateboard, which I find hilarious.
Yes, yeah, that was a great touch.
He's always got a skateboard. It's great. He's never on it. In a million years, I can't imagine The Rock actually riding a skateboard, but yeah, it's terrific.
The Rock having a center of balance seems strange to me, but I mean, you would have to, but just having to balance on something seems weird. He just seems like a rock. Well, The Rock.
Maybe we should like start a writing campaign and be like, Rock, we would like to see you on a skateboard, please.
Yeah. Rock, do the 720. Do the Tony Hawk 720, please.
No, I want to see.
I'm a
like,
child dying of cancer. Please do the coolest trick. Please
I
do
want
an
to see him
ollie.
just awkwardly push down the street, like, and not really have the ability to get it. Like, just that kind of like dad skateboarding thing.
Yeah, or like he's sitting on it, like I used to when I was like 6. That'd be pretty good.
And he like runs over his finger comedically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they end up getting like they get all his money and house, and they're living the dream. And then The Rock, who was a recovering coke addict, gets back into doing coke, and Anthony Mackie spent all his money on a house for him and his wife, Rebel Wilson. Just the amount of time they spend with Rebel Wilson is really aggravating. And again, like I like Rebel Wilson, but it's just like let's really make fun of the black guy here. And I only point that out just because that's a regular Michael Bay feature. Is the real sort of like and I mean I'm this isn't true of all his movies, obviously. The Bad Boys has Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, whereas Martin Lawrence is more of the weaker, dumber one. But I just remember like watching the first Transformers, and when Anthony Edwards shows up, and it's like him and his fat computer hacker brothers just felt really, really gross to watch. And then he had the whole thing in part 2 where unbeknownst to the scriptwriters, he added 2 characters like Skids and Mutt Flab that talk in AVE and don't know how to read. Yeah.
I think my favorite part of this is how unstereotypical it is that the black guy likes the thick white lady. Mm-hmm. I think that's the first time that's ever really been delved into in popular culture, and that's nice.
Yeah.
Also, him having a small penis that's a great joke because that's against the stereotype because it's good. So,
but I mean, again, like this is all interesting stuff in terms of like, so this guy's addicted to, or not addicted to, but he's taking all these steroids so his dick doesn't work, and so that's why he's trying to get more money on the stuff. Like as far as motivations or whatever, and I just feel like so much of this stuff is glossed over to just throw in a cheap joke, and it's unfortunate because I do think there's some great stuff in here, and it is frustrating also, like when you watch someone who's like very good at a thing that you're interested in, but also like kind of has no interest in it. Like it's like Michael Bay can make these amazing looking things, but just has like the worst sensibilities. But he's never going to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Bay should just be a cinematographer and just, for somebody else. One of the things I liked in the early setup, but I don't want to skip by, is how they keep trying to kidnap Monk. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work. And one of the attempts, they've like break down this in quotes intricate plan to go into his house. And they run to the back door, and he's in the middle of doing Shabbat, like he's having like a Jewish ceremony. He's like, man, they're in the middle of Shabbat. We got to get the hell out of here. And there's something really funny about like this intricate planning that's also just a dumbass's view of what an intricate plan is, and didn't bother, like they didn't notice all the cars outside. Like there's something very very good about that.
Well, how like we can't do a water entry because we don't have a boat. And normally this would probably take Navy SEALs like 65 seconds, but with our fitness, we could probably get it done in 40. Like shit like that is really, really funny, but it's just not, it's very few and far between.
Yeah. And I think, and not to keep dunking on him, but I just kept imagining like John Cena or somebody that has actual comedic timing saying those lines like, damn, it could have been good.
Yeah, like and I think that's something that The Rock excels at in this. Like, I think The Rock is like has the best comedic timing in this stuff. Like ultimately, like one of the main takeaways, or like the spoken theme of this movie, is when they're doing Mark Wahlberg is doing a neighborhood watch meeting, and The Rock is like all coked out and is making it terrible for people. And he's like, "You look like shit." And The Rock goes, "I feel like I look pretty good." And it's like, that's the whole thing. It's just this idea that like, if I deserve it, the universe will serve it. And like all these like empty pablum things that these people are into. And I think The Rock, some of those jokes that The Rock has to do with that, I think he does it pretty well compared to, I find Anthony Mackie extremely charming, and I think he's fine in this. I just think they don't give him a lot to do.
So Anthony Mackie, I think, escapes the best out of the main cast. But The Rock, the problem I had with him in this movie is The Rock, to me, and he is, 6'5" and just made of muscle.
Mm-hmm.
He's never read dumb to me. I have a hard time believing him to be as stupid as he is in this movie. He just he has a shrewd face. I don't know if shrewd has a negative connotation. I mean, he's got smart eyes. Like there's nothing, he doesn't read as someone that could be that stupid. And it takes me out of it on some levels, which I think if this movie had a more comedic tone in that kind of, I'm not expecting the Coen brothers, but I'm using them as an example.
Right.
Like that thing, like where you can have a smart movie with a dumb person in it. So it like kind of works. And I think because there's a wink.
Yeah, no, the only time I've seen The Rock like play a character that's stupid or that does extremely stupid things for comedic effect, it's usually based on arrogance. Like I'm thinking of The Other Guys when he jumps off the building, or we know 911 Miami. There's a bit where he plays like a cop showing them how to use grenades and ends up blowing himself up. But like it's more of this muscle bound arrogance, not like stupid. But again, like in talking about this, and I don't want to just this is as a vehicle for me to virtue signal how good I am. But the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm just thinking about like why is this the stripper lady in this movie? I can't, like, she serves no function to the story really, other than to show that they're pieces of shit, and it's like fine, they are, but like again, you want to put beautiful people in your movie, that's fine. But I was just very taken aback by, boy, this doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah,
and I'm not dunking on her because she's casted for this, but like there's nothing grosser to me than like that Florida beautiful. That like really hard breast implants and like like everything's like almost like wax sealed. Like there's like soprano strippers where just like, I don't like, and it's, I'm not trying to be misogynistic. Like I get that there's beauty standards and that's a yada yada and like lip fillers and things and Botox. Like I'm not discounting that. I'm just discounting that and saying they look like shit and should know better. Mm-hmm. If you get what I'm saying. Right. Like I'm saying they're dumb. Like they're dumb hooas that should know better.
You're doing the same level of satire as Michael Bay.
I mean every word of this.
No, but that's what I mean. It's like when Lugo at the beginning is kind of giving his whole speech and he like walks by like, and I hate people that have sacrificed their gifts or squandered the gifts they have, and he walks by two fat women on treadmills or whatever, and it's like Michael Bay has the same exact disdain for these people.
Yeah.
And like he's like constantly there's weird like, oh, we're gonna have a little person be the hotel manager so that we can throw him around. We're gonna have like a gross fat kid in the pool to show what a rundown place this is. It's just he's so full of hate, this man.
The dwarf that works at the motel is such a weird choice, and I'm fine if you cast a little person in the role, just be, like it's blind casting, it doesn't matter, like that's not part of the role, but like. The joke is that The Rock lifts him up off the ground to threaten him. Yeah. It's The Rock. You could do that with just a regular ass sized guy. Yeah. It doesn't it's just baffling, some of the choices there. Yeah. The fat kid in the pool, the fat ladies on the exercise bike. I get if this was a competent director, you're trying to get across that Mark Wahlberg's a piece of shit. But since it's Michael Bay, it just comes across as like, you're making fun of fat people in the gym.
Yeah, because
which
Michael
is the exact
Bay,
opposite of the people you should
make
fun of in the gym. It's like, motherfucker, you're fat and you showed up to the gym. You should be the one being complimented. Like, oh wow, the really shredded guy in the gym. Oh yeah, great, fucking yeah, that's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, but like it's frustrating with this one. We because like you said, there's bones of a good movie here, and it's not like the Transformers movies where I've just like
Bayon's.
Whatever. Sorry, Bayon's of a good movie here.
Thank you.
But like it also, I think it does play to some of his strengths as well. Like there's moments that, like unintentionally or not, are perfect for this sort of attempted satire. Like the theme of this movie, done by a guy's named Steve Jablonsky, is very much like having worked in commercial production and making videos for like sportswear companies and stuff like that, or so, people love to have these anthem videos where to pump up their sales force or whatever. So it'll just be like, what you're doing is so important and you're going to sell the most shoes or glasses or catering supplies. And it's this kind of music. Like it's that like slow, inspirational, like guitar. Like this is exactly the kind of music that these idiots would listen to and be like, yeah, I'm a doer. I'm going to get this stuff done. And I think it's so rife with satire that just the movie itself doesn't get. And so it's good on some level, but then it's very frustrating on other levels.
Yeah. I mean, it really is just the Michael Bay of it all and some of the acting, but, yeah, like be a doer, not a don'ter. That's funny. Like that's such a stupid. Yeah, that's so dumb. It's great.
Or it's well, like when Ken, because he's also a little bit obsessed with Ken Jeong's character, like Johnny Woo, who's based on a real guy who had similar ads, but just that was like a
that guy in the
based on
yacht
guy
from back
Tom
in the
Vu.
80s. Like, yeah, I remember that dude.
But like some of that stuff is rather funny. And like his like trying to ape the stuff that he does, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's something that Tommy Woo says. No, that's from AA. We've been saying that for years, you know.
So that AA thing, I really need to talk about. So at one point he says, fear stands for fake emotions are
false evidence appearing real.
Thank you. I knew that was wrong, but I was just trying to come up with something vaguely similar. There's been multiple Comedy Bang Bang characters that did shit like that. And I didn't realize they were riffing on AA. I had no fucking idea. And it's one of those deals of just like, I can't imagine what it's like growing up with The Simpsons and then watching movies from the 70s. You're just like, Jesus Christ. Where this is like, I had no idea that's what we're riffing on.
There's one time I was showing a friend Taxi Driver. And when Robert De Niro is like, it was like in high school, and Robert De Niro's like, you talking to me? He's like, I knew he was going to say that. Like, what do you mean? Yes, he was going. It's from Taxi Driver. Even he had no idea. He just knew the reference.
But on the sobriety talk, my favorite scene in this is The Rock converting Monk to Christianity when he's tied up inside of a dildo factory. He's like, Jesus Christ, your personal savior.
Yeah.
And that's one of the scenes that almost annoyed me the most. I was just like, if a good director did this might be one of the best scenes ever made.
Well, yeah. I mean, like it's that in of itself is very clever and just like this fun interplay between these characters, whatever, but Michael Bay can't get past, they're surrounded by dicks.
Yeah. Big dicks too, which is nice.
Yeah. It's just, I think some of it, what's upsetting about it too, is that, as we sort of mentioned, like that every character in this is just a piece of shit in a way that doesn't, like, if you're watching some like gross movie where everything looks like it smells like smoke and you know, like this, if this was just like a straight up crime tale and you're like, everyone is kind of awful or whatever. But because Michael Bay dresses it up in such like shiny stuff, it feels even worse because it feels like you're kind of supposed to, since it feels like Transformers, it's no different visually than like Transformers. Like even when at the end, when he's like, these characters are at their lowest or something, he's still doing the heroic undershot because he doesn't know how to not do that.
Yes.
And so it all just feels so disgusting and way worse.
It is disgusting. That's kind of the key word. Also, I just can't, like the insult to the fine people, the fine notary publics out there, to be besmirched in such a way, that's the real crime here.
Yeah. Pretty terrible.
Yeah. So Ed Harris gets introduced as a detective in a complete waste of, sorry. I skipped a real quick part. We already kind of talked about the stripper Ukrainian lady, but like,
yeah.
She now thinks they're part of the CIA and they need to be, like, she needs to be part of the plan, but at no point is part of the plan. So is she just there to fuck? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that is just straight gross. Okay. So anyway, that happens. Then Ed Harris gets introduced, and Ed Harris is one of those guys, like a Michael Ironside, where he just makes stuff better.
Mm-hmm.
That
he's like the one thing I liked about Westworld.
Yeah, it's like his scenes are just a breath of fresh air. It's like, Ed Harris is here. Like this is
he's a regular person.
And his scenes aren't that good, but it's like, Ed Harris, look at him being Ed Harris.
Well, it's also funny that since Ed Harris is like it's not like I know Ed Harris, but in my mind there's two Ed Harrises. There's the Ed Harris that wears the stupid hat Kangol hat like he wears in the Truman Show or The Hours or whatever, tenting his fingers, looking very, I'm an actor. And then there's the Ed Harris that's in Pain and Gain and Armageddon. It's like, what about working with Michael Bay that makes you go like, yeah. And like, I don't mean that in a way.
I think I can.
Although it's loaded with the disgust for on some level for Michael Bay, but like, what do you as an actor and like an artist, or whatever? What draws you to Michael Bay? Is it just the paycheck? I mean, that's fine too.
Yeah. So this, I think I explain it. This goes back to Sir Anthony Hopkins. Will often in scripts write NAR next to lines, and when someone asked him what about, he said, "No acting required." I just say it in my voice, and since my voice carries this resonance, it just gets away with it. I mean, he didn't say it as Ponzi, as pretentious as that, but like that's what it is. And I think that's what's going on with Ed Harris is like he literally, Michael Bay just needs him to show up and just act like, not even act like himself, just act like, no, you don't actually have to do anything. Just literally like say lines in front of the camera, and his tenor and whatever, they write the thing around. I'm like, cool. So I got $1 million for showing,
and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. He only had to do like 3 sets of anything when he's working out in this movie. Like So I think it is just like easy paycheck he probably gets along with the guy. I mean, Ed Harris is old, so he's probably homophobe too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But it is
all old white men are homophobes.
Sure. I mean, there's a certain amount of that. Like when people are all pissed at like, oh, John Cleese said these awful anti-trans things. Yeah, he did. Also, he's 80. Like, not that I forgive him, but like, what do you want from him? Like, Master. Oh, he commands a legion of fans. John Cleese in 2024. Yeah, I think the
takeaway there is like, stop reporting on it. I get how you have to report on J.K. Rowling because like, she's like a fucking billionaire and like has a huge
John Cleese
reach,
just does not. John Cleese
he was in 4 things in the 70s. Like it's not.
Yeah, just walk away, man. It's fine. Yeah.
Here's a make the audience pop moment. The Rock is doing coke and on the ground, and he's looking for extra money, and he says, "I hit rock bottom," and that's the name of his finishing maneuver when he was a professional wrestler.
Yeah,
that's in this movie.
Yep. Yeah,
I don't think you got what he's saying there, John.
No,
that's
I got
the name of his.
Oh,
you sure you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Like if John Cena was in here, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to give him an attitude adjustment."
Mm-hmm.
You can't see me.
Did you ever see the clip of him talking about why that ended up happening? Like that, like the can't see me thing.
No,
it was like a throwaway thing that like he's like, then I got shackled to it for years and years and years.
That's funny.
It was very funny because you never really hear a wrestler kind of be like, yeah, and then I had to be the fucking Undertaker forever. It sucks.
Yeah. So here's a runner in this movie that annoyed the hell out of me. The Rock gets his toe shot off. Mm-hmm. And at no point tries to get it reattached, but whatever. I get this movie's trying to be satire and not doing very well at it. But then, like, a dog picks up his toe.
Yep.
How is that not how they get caught?
Well, he gives the Rock gives the dog his toe because he's all like coked out,
but
or
like
drunk.
The dogs didn't swallow it. Like, how is that not? What? It's literally Chekhov's toe. It's set up that should be the thing that breaks him because they did inexplicably do a good job of hiding evidence and washing down the bodies, etc. They should just go, oh yeah, we've got his fingerprints from his toe prints because he was a felon, and this toe was here. Obviously, there's some,
his toe prints.
It's supposed to be a satire. I'm imagining a movie that's good. Because that would be funny. They find a toe in a chihuahua's mouth, and that's how they catch him.
Take toe prints.
No, yes, it's a joke. That would be why it's funny. Imagine.
No, but I'm confused because you said it.
Yeah, yes, I've said 5 funny things. I'm averaging 1 funny thing per every 30 episodes, and I think it's pretty fucking good.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm imagining like a Coen Brothers-esque dark comedy where that's how it gets. Oh, sorry, I'm allergic to shit. I co-host. I don't go with things. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not going along with that.
The toe. Here, look. No. I'm breaking kayfabe. Fine. I'll fucking do it right now. We've been talking for 45 minutes. I haven't had anything left to say about this movie for the past 8, and probably the last 43. So I'm just grasping at fucking straws at any fucking note. I'll stop interrupting. Please continue. Go finger bang the paralegal, John.
Oh, yeah, of course. Speaking of Rebel Wilson, I was like so they end up trying to do a similar scam to a different guy. He's like the porno king of Florida or something like that. And Mark Wahlberg, who's routinely had a very short temper throughout this movie, ends up losing his temper and accidentally killing the guy by hitting him against a weight bench. Then weights fall off and crush his head. And
kind of that guy's fault, though, because you're supposed to have a little stop at the end to keep that from happening. Just saying. Like, I work out a fair amount, and I'm just telling you.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I know.
When my trainer, we put a little lock on the end to make sure that accidents don't happen.
But a similar, like, Michael Bay regular, Will Patton, who's always great, is that guy. And I was thinking about, like, because they end up, like, they have to go dispose of the bodies, and they make Anthony Mackie, like, cut up his carpet where the blood got on. And when his wife, Rebel Wilson, comes home, she's all, like, aghast. And I was realizing, oh, yeah, this is supposed to take place in, like, 1995. No one has a cell phone. Yeah. And it's like, I thought the movie handled that very well, where it's not really, doesn't really call attention to it. But, oh, yeah, it's the 90s. No one really, there were cell phones, but they weren't as ubiquitous, certainly.
Yeah, those are the big-ass Zach Morris ones. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
This is where another one of the rare, actually funny lines happens. They're freaking out because they accidentally kill a guy. So Mark Wahlberg's like, I got to pump. I got to go take a pump. And Brock is like, hey man, take a moment. It's a very funny, like, oh, this is a reasonable thing to have happen right now.
Well, yeah. And then when he's talking about, like, hey, I've been there too. I thought I've killed someone. And then, you got the Jesus and devil just swimming around in there. And that's good. That's good for him. Yeah. Great. You know,
yeah.
Like he's just coaching him through it. Yeah. That shit was very funny. And just like, I don't know, certain elements of, like, making fun, like when it's trying to sort of poke fun at the American dream and that when Bay lets it, I think there's definitely some amusing stuff in there. And I think that's partly what kept me interested in this. But then, yeah, you just get these moments, these hateful moments that just get in there. And it's so funny. It's like I've been watching a lot of perhaps misanthropic things, and nothing to me is more the void than Michael Bay. Like that, there's just
it's uniquely depressing.
Yeah, like it's just like such a special kind of emptiness. Like I find some of as we talked about on Melancholy or whatever, like that Lars von Trier's bullshit can get kind of tiresome, but like there's at least an acknowledgement of it, whereas Michael Bay is like, no, I'm fine. And just does this, and there doesn't seem like there's any sort of self-reflection there, and it's weird, and so it's frustrating because, again, like I think he can make some very pretty and interesting movies, but he just can't get out of his own way. But I think, yeah, there's some. If this was like just like a slick crime thing, maybe I wouldn't be so upset by it. But because it seems like it's trying to satirize something, or that it's trying to have like a point or a message that I think it sort of undermines, it gets more difficult to just sort of let pass through you, so to speak.
Yeah. No, there's like cognitive dissonance that happens. It's like it makes you uncomfortable because you can't.
Yeah.
There's no way to approach this movie from a correct stance. Like it's not. One of the brilliant things about don't say it, Starship Troopers, is that you can watch it as just an action movie and it works. Now, obviously, that's the wrong way to approach it, but it functions as that. But obviously, when you see it as satire, that's like when the movie's actually good.
Right.
This doesn't work from either direction. There's too much of the other mixed in together, which is why I just keep saying, and I said this during the Captain America movie we discussed, Anthony Mackie should have erections. I mean, I've said it in multiple movies, even when he's not in the movie. Yeah. Actually, I think I brought it up in Melancholia.
I don't think we did Captain America. I know. I just you texting me at 3 a.m.
Yes,
Anthony Mackie should have a boner right now. No, in the movie.
Right now, I'm not stopping him.
Yeah, whatever.
It's a virile young man.
Have you? I forget. Have we talked about the Anthony Mackie Captain America movie? Speaking of that,
no.
What's been going on with that? So, all this merchandising for it is happening. You can buy Coke cans with Anthony Mackie's face on it. There was just toys given away for the movie at McDonald's, but they had to push the movie back. And then, like, this movie's been troubled, reshoots, all this stuff. But the big thing is that there's a character in there, Marvel superhero named Sabra, who's an IDF soldier. So, yeah, can't really release that right now. Gotta figure out how to make that work. I think they're kind of biding their time and either seeing how things go or trying to excise that character entirely.
Biding their time. I see what you did there.
Oh yeah, I did.
I don't know what IDF means.
Israeli Defense Force. She's in the Israeli army.
Yeah. I knew that was the conflict being referenced, but since there's two different horrible things happening on the planet right now that could cause World War III, I wasn't sure which one that was referencing.
Yeah. No. It's the Israeli Defense Force. So
yeah.
So you can buy some collectible. It's like it kind of feels like those. You'll see those photos of like a starving nation that's wearing like Giants win the Super Bowl in a year that they didn't. It's just that they have to offload all that stuff.
Is it like the first Rambo or the second one? He's like he's on the side of the Taliban.
I have seen no Rambos ever, but there was a thing going around that the movie ends with this film was dedicated to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen.
Yeah,
and that's phony. That's not real.
Okay.
That doesn't. I mean, the movie exists, but I think it says like the brave people of Palestine or the brave people of Afghanistan rather, or something like that. Like it does not specifically mention the Mujahideen. But no, I've never seen a Rambo movie. But I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know why you call yourself a movie fan.
Yeah. Those would be interesting to watch though, because that's like I know that
really, the first one's a fucking gore fest.
Well, just that the first one is like based on a book about a Vietnam vet that's so traumatized and comes home and it's bad, and the third one's like, and then I'm gonna kick ass of communists.
Yeah, I mean, I loved those movies when I was a kid, but I rewatched the first 2 or 3. Definitely the first 2. I think I watched the third one as well, but like the first one's just a snooze fest. It's like literally you can tell the budget just by watching it. And then it just gets bloodier and bloodier, and it's like this is just the height of 80s like excess gore, and it's real shit.
Yeah, I just know the UHF reference really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ultra high frequency.
But like at the same time, for as much as I've shit on this movie, I still kind of recommend it in a weird way. Ooh. Like I not in like, oh, you should get out and watch this, but it is a fascinating watch just from like sort of a filmmaking perspective and just like what it's trying to do versus what it is doing. And it's like the first, I also say this, I think the first half is way better than the second half, because the second half I feel like dispenses of all the comedy elements of it. Anything they're attempting to be funny, they just kick that out the window. And I think particularly that first 40 minutes, I remember like really enjoying when I first saw it. A little bit less so this time around, but yeah, I don't know. I'm torn on it, but I'd still say check it out.
I think it is an interesting study. I agree with you there. I don't recommend it at all. This movie annoyed me. But yeah, if you're I mean, I guess if you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you're like in like young and still like trying to figure out what movies are. I mean, like you're in college and you're in that pretentious like, when you stopped watching pretentious movies, but you don't actually know where to go because you're like, oh, I just realized how stupid I've been. Like, it could be like, who only like foreign films? You know that like arrogant thing you do when you're like 23 or so? Like when you're just getting out of that, this would be a good movie to watch. Like when you're trying to figure out like how to watch a real movie. Cause you're like, this is, yeah, I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm particularly like these young kids nowadays that were raised on the Ding Dang Transformers movie. Cause I feel like this is much more, it's free from all like the trappings of being a Transformers movie. It's just it's Michael Bay, but it's at the same time it's Michael Bay. He's done the Bad Boys movies. He's done the Transformers movies. So like no one's stopping him. He is free to be as Michael Bay as he wants to be on this thing. Not that he's got guardrails or whatever before, but it's a much smaller production than what it normally does, and he still makes it this huge maximalist thing. So if you like that kind of filmmaking, particularly check this out. But it doesn't always work for me. But I still probably like it better than any of the Transformers movies I've seen. And I've seen part of Bad Boys 2, and I really hated Bad Boys 2. Because that one felt very, very hateful
Yeah,
well.
no, this is better than any of the Transformers movies. Yeah, I'm not going to. Just those movies are dog shit too.
The skyscraper scene in the third one is genuinely a great scene. I will stand by that one. They're like fighting in the skyscraper in Chicago that's like falling over. It's really cool.
Yeah, I remember that. It's fine. I'm sure there's scenes here and there. I just sitting there and watching the whole movie is, I mean, like it's like, you know, it's like Manos the Hands of Fate level of just like a slog to get through that fucking thing.
Yeah, but I also very much recommend that Extreme Empire Wreckers, This Machine Kills Fascists. I'm sorry, that's just the logo. Empire Wreckers, Learning to Love Michael Bay's Transformers movies. It was just, for not being a fan of those movies, it was a really fascinating read on it. And I kind of missed that. Like there was the early to mid 2000s. I think there was a glut of those like crack.com would have told them like the Ninja Turtles movie is actually about socialism or you know, not necessarily political, but you know what I mean? They would do these weird readings into movies.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this is actually like a really cool look into that.
There's still some good YouTube channels that like approach things from that direction. I mean, few and far between, but every now and again I'll get served one of those, which is like a different reading of something. You're like, oh shit, like you're smart and you did this. It's like that Room 237 where it's just like, I know this is dumb, but like this movie's so well made that you're kind of talking me into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wait a second, that Calumet baking powder probably does mean that the Vietnam War was faked or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Being Stuck on the Bus, the movie. Yeah, no thanks. Did not enjoy that one.
Yeah, like you've ever been on a bus, you fucking upper crust piece of shit.
That's
not
that's
in your
true.
backyard.
No, I drive a cool Lambo. And I know that like Marky Mark's car in this movie is supposed to be kind of funny, that it's like supposed to be a nice car, but it's a piece of shit. So it's that like it's a nice car for poor people sort of joke or whatever. I like the car. I think it looked cool.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah. I think, that's Michael Bay. Do you have anything to recommend to the audience that is not Michael Bay based? Or Michael Bay based? I'm
I do, actually. I very much enjoyed, surprisingly good, much better actually than I anticipated, The First Omen on Hulu currently, the prequel to the Omen movie.
Really?
Has no business being as good of a movie it is. It's directed by this woman, Arkasha Stevenson, who did season 3 of Channel Zero, which was a horror anthology series.
Oh, yeah, I know Channel Zero. Yeah.
Season 3, Butcher Block with Rutger Hauer might be my favorite one of the bunch. So the end, she does a very good job there. And then I also, the Criterion Channel has a collection of films this month that's all like synth soundtracks. That's really cool. And I started watching this extremely bizarre Romanian animated movie called Delta Space Mission, I think. Delta Space Mission, and it's about a lot of things, but there's basically this sentient planet they make that's supposed to be this like perfect space station, and then it falls in love with a woman, and it's all like really stylistic characters. There's not lip sync at all. Characters just kind of talk, and it doesn't really matter. But it was just a very kind of cool, trippy style of animation, very old school, and also great synth soundtrack.
Yeah, I like a synth. We stay on a synth. I'm going to tell you what I recommend. I have been watching Severance on Apple Plus. It is far and away the best TV show I've seen in fucking ages. It is terrific on all levels. If you are like a David Lynch kind of guy, and I say that because the one, and I'm putting in heavy quotes, detraction to the show, is that it can be very slow at times and inscrutable. But I really like slow and inscrutable. But like, it gets better and better as the season goes along, and it's one of the best season finales ever. Every performance is great. Special shout out to a man named Tremel Tillman, who plays Mr. Milchick. Does this give anything away? There's a dance sequence featuring him. That doesn't really give away much.
I think I've seen memes of it or
it's
whatever.
Fucking brilliant. It is. He is amazing. And Zach Cherry is in it, who is recently on the Fallout show, which I also liked. And he's really great in it. Adam Scott is the lead. It's great. John Turturro, also one of the leads. And inexplicably, fucking Christopher Walken shows up, and he's good.
Wait a minute. Adam Scott from Madam Web?
Yeah, Madam Web's own Adam Scott.
Wow. Which, by the way, we talked about Madam Web on our Patreon if you want to listen to us talk about that an infinitely worse movie than this and more baffling.
I would rather watch Madam Web again than watch this movie again.
Absolutely not. I would take this hands down.
Yeah. No, I mean,
because
like,
every character in this movie wants to be in this movie. I guess for starters, no one thinks they're better than this movie.
Severance is fucking great. Like I'm proselytizing. I'm telling everybody to watch it.
Do you
told
feel
John to watch it. I told other friend that I'm not making up to watch it.
Naj, he's from Canada.
Table remote.
Do you think that? Are you confident that like a new season is going to be decent, or is it one of those where you're like, oh, I don't know how you follow this up?
I'm not confident. No, I'm confident it's going to be decent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not confident that it's going to hold up to season 1. But even if it doesn't, the season is if Adam Scott and everybody else died in a bus crash, I would still watch. I would be fine with the season. Like it ends on a quote unquote cliffhanger, but the way the mystery box is introduced and then somewhat deconstructed and revealed is done in such a brilliant way that it's well worth watching. It's directed by Ben Stiller, actor or whatever. And with all the dynamic characters and camera movements, it's more like Ben Movementer.
That's good.
That's what I wrote on Letterboxd.
You should host a podcast.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's really bad idea. I don't know who the hell would listen to my podcast, especially the Patreon. Yeah. So Severance, I really want to watch. I want you to watch it specifically.
But yeah, speaking of slower stuff, I've recommended it before years ago, probably at this point. Scavenger's Reign is now on Netflix. HBO was like, screw you, we're putting it on Netflix.
I was wondering why that got recommended to be on Netflix and it said brand new. I'm like, I watched that a year ago, or whatever it was. Okay,
but
that's why.
But totally watch it. Absolutely support that thing. Try to get, it'd be cool if they were able to make more.
We both were raved about it in previous episodes. I love Scavenger's Reign. It's like Mobius style. It's super great. Yeah.
Hey, you ever heard of a guy named Wes Anderson?
Anderson?
Yeah, son of Anders.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I know Anders. I'm assuming I know his kid.
Anyway, he made a movie called Asteroid City. I've not seen it yet, so we should watch that and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, we probably should. All right, yeah, let's do that. Asteroid City, starring everybody that's been in Wes Anderson movies. And Scarlett Johansson.
You could probably guess.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks.
So, yeah, okay. So we're going to watch frequent guest of the show, Tom Hanks, in Asteroid City by Wes Anderson. We will see you in 2 weeks. Good evening.
Goodbye.